Hello, everybody. Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Today is January 18th, and now we're looking at the European model. Right now, here's a big ridge of high pressure currently over the western North American coastline, with a deep trough of cold Arctic air that's spilling down into the central and eastern United States. Is going to bring a rare snowstorm to the southeast and deep south states. Even New Orleans could potentially get a few inches of snow, which is very rare for them down there, but they do occasionally get it. But after this ridge moves through, it's going to weaken a bit over the next few days, and then later next week, a trough is going to start coming out of Alaska and the northern territories of Canada. And just how much that comes out over us is going to determine what weather we may get. But there could be some winter weather on the east side of the Pacific Northwest. But models are currently not showing it coming out over the water and over the majority of the Pacific Northwest, which would be a better trajectory for chances for snow even on the west side and the lowlands. So it's that time of the year where a lot of models are showing potential for a more La Nina-like pattern as we go through later this month. So we're just going to have to keep our eye on it as we go. So if I play this out, you can see that really deep trough over the central and eastern United States and southeastern Canada. Tons of cold air with it. It's a section of the tropospheric polar vortex, as we call it here in the weather world. But that's usually just a buzzword used by a lot of news stations. Most of the time, it's the main polar vortex is way up in the stratosphere and doesn't really have any super direct effects on our patterns, but can have some correlation with some of our winter weather activities. So as we go into early next week, this is Monday and Tuesday, this ridge is continuing over this. There's this little clipper system that comes out of BC and goes into Alberta and Saskatchewan. But that also heads east, bringing another little rush of cold air down into the central United States. But this ridge starts weakening. And look at this, this trough kind of forms right as it comes out of Alaska and northern British Columbia. This comes out over the Pacific Northwest. This would likely introduce some chances for precipitation around the area, also bring some cooler temperatures. However, this isn't a very deep or strong trough, so this wouldn't be bringing much cold air down with it, especially with this ridge just to its north. But look up here. This is this is next weekend, so most models have this trough digging over the western United States. Just where exactly it goes and the amount of effects it has is still in question, but really a chance of some precipitation, wintry mix on the east side is generally looking likely. It may even bring some precipitation and cooler temperatures down to California, which would be great if the Los Angeles area and the fires down there can get some precipitation. Anything would help at this point. So watch this. Models start to disagree a lot at this point. This ridge kind of weakens a bit, but watch this this huge, deep, just polar lobe, as we kind of call it. It's kind of a section of these polar troughs that come out of the Arctic Circle, and these are generally what bring our Arctic outbreaks every here and there. And when these get displaced and go into the mid-latitudes, that's when you can get those really frigid temperatures. And this is a very deep one right over northern Canada, bringing cold air all the way from Alaska down into southern Canada. But look at that, how it goes east instead of coming down over us. This would just barely clip us, maybe bring some cooler than normal temperatures. Probably would bring a frontal system in as well, which that would be great. But if you see it just moves east, and then another ridge builds in with this, another really deep trough and another section of the tropospheric polar vortex up over Alaska as well. So this model has us keeping and dodging every single blast of Arctic air. We look to continue to have a more favorable pattern as we go into the end of January and into February as well. But for us to get a snow event here on the west side of Seattle, Portland, we kind of just need the perfect setup for it to happen, which is why it's not very common for us to get snowstorms around here. And if we look at the GFS, has the same thing, that cold air heading east, that clipper system coming in, probably only bringing precipitation out to like in Montana and Idaho, maybe clipping eastern Washington. It would bring another round of cold air. However, like the ridge is kind of a little bit more squashed on the GFS model, with that next trough that comes out over the western United States on the European model. It actually goes all the way east into the central US once again. So we're just malls are all over the place. However, the GFS has been flopping around a lot more, so I'm not trusting this solution as much. But like models like the Canadian model and the German model, which aren't typically as accurate as the European model, which we tend to look at the most, they are more in line with the European model solution, so that I'm not really paying too much attention to the GFS. But there's always a chance somehow the GFS is right. So now looking at 6-hour precipitation type in inches, no rain or anything really expected at all for the next almost a week now. Here's that trough that kind of eclipses us on the European model, which actually goes down into California. Look how it brings some precipitation to the area with some light rain. It's light to moderate rain in the lowlands, with maybe some light snow in around Spokane, east parts of eastern Washington, also some snow to the Cascades as well. See if it even starts bringing some rain down to California as well, which that would be great. Anything down there would help them with the fire efforts. And now looking at total cloud cover and percentage. Generally, we should have mostly clear skies next couple days. Some high clouds will move in on Monday, but it shouldn't block up most of the sun rays. So it's still going to be warm if I go back here and not skip all the way to the end. Now we're on Tuesday. There's going to be maybe a little bit more high clouds, or maybe some mid-level clouds move in later on Tuesday, but also again, it's not going to be too much. And then that weak system starts moving through, bringing some light rain and stuff later on at the end of the week around Thursday and the Friday. Now looking at daily 2-meter max temperatures on the National Blended Models, you can see temperatures, high temperatures even below freezing for Spokane, and have been the last few days. You can see we're warmer on the west side with high temperatures in the 40s, even some 50s on the southwest Oregon coastline. So pretty chilly out there. Even tomorrow's high on Sunday, maybe in the mid 20s over in Spokane. So definitely very chilly out there. Most of eastern Washington in a bit of an ice box. It's not too unusual for them to have high temperatures that low, but generally we look to maybe warm up a bit as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, but it's not really going to get that much warmer. And then we look to dip back down later in the week. Low temperatures, we're getting our first, this is the coldest era of the season, with lows getting out into the teens in eastern Washington and Oregon for a lot of locations, and also getting into the 20s for a lot of places in western Washington, Oregon. We're getting our first kind of hard freeze of the season. There was a lot of frost at my house here along Admiralty Inlet on Whidbey Island. So definitely getting pretty chilly out there. And let me go back here. So this is the low on Sunday. Tomorrow, here's Monday. Monday looks to be potentially the coldest day, with lows into the middle 20s potentially for parts of western Washington. Even some single digits starting to mix into the higher terrain of eastern Washington. Spokane getting dangerously close to the single digits as well. So very cold on Monday. If we continue into Tuesday, still lows getting into the 20s and the teens for most of the Pacific Northwest, but we look to continue to stay below freezing. This is the national blended model, so this is an average of a lot of models. So these temperatures tend to be a bit warmer, a bit colder than this generally. Sometimes they're a little warmer, but it's just an average, so it's not going to be exact especially as you go farther out. Even now, going a week from now, we're still getting lows that are right around freezing, staying in the 20s out east as well. So definitely it's going to remain rather chilly for quite a while. Here's a nice graph from the National Weather Service of Spokane, Washington, showing those cold temperatures forecasted for Monday for the morning and afternoons. With you can see some single digits for like Republic, Sandpoint, Bonner's Ferry. A lot of places just getting really chilly out there, out to the east. Lots of probably ice forming on some of the lakes and stuff. Cold temperatures will impact those without adequate heating. Please wear appropriate clothing, limit time outdoors, bring pets indoors, check vulnerable populations. Most of you out there know the drill this time of the year, but that's some good reminders. Now going down to California real quick. Unfortunately, there's going to be another moderate to strong Santa Ana wind event starting later on Monday evening in the Tuesday. Here, this is the NAM model. Look at this. Another cold air mass is going to be coming down and bringing that strong pressure gradient. And that high pressure, the low pressure, causes very strong winds over the mountains and some of the valleys. Unfortunately, thankfully, most of the fires have been put out or mostly contained at this point, but any new fire starts are going to be able to spread rapidly because there's going to be some very dry humidity values, which I'll show you here in a minute. But if we go to wind gusts here, you can see it start to pick up on Monday evening, really increasing. The max winds look to be early Tuesday morning, and this is even the strongest winds yet. And the NAM's showing some potential for some gusts 55 to 65 in the hills and mountain locations, even some of the valleys getting up towards 55, maybe even 60 as well. Unfortunately, downtown LA is more wind sheltered during most of the Santa Ana winds. But any fires that form in this are going to be spreading rapidly and be very uncontrollable. And unfortunately, these will continue. Now we're going all the way into Tuesday on the European model. The NAM doesn't go out far enough. But you can see winds mostly really started dying down later Tuesday afternoon to Tuesday evening. But it's still going to remain elevated. Any wind for fires, especially with how dry it's going to be, is going to cause issues out there. And you can see gonna maybe pick up again a little bit on Thursday as well, but it's going to remain rather breezy and dry for a lot of the ridge tops and valley locations through the week. But now looking at the humidity, this is Tuesday afternoon. Look at this, and we're getting single digit relative humidity values. These are very dry. It's going to be even drier than the last couple of fire events. So even though the winds aren't going to be as strong, the air is going to be even drier, which means the vegetation is going to be even drier. So that will contribute. Look at this on that was actually Monday. That was Monday evening that I showed you before. This is Tuesday afternoon. Even though the winds are going to be calming down, look at this. We're getting humidity values down to 2 to 1%. That's like bone dry, even beyond bone dry at that point. So very dangerous. And there's fire weather watches and red flag warnings out there for northeast winds 20 to 40 miles per hour with gusts up to 65 miles per hour. I wouldn't be surprised if there's isolated gusts even higher than that possible. Strongest winds will be Monday night and the Tuesday morning. Otherwise, northeast winds 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts 45 to 50 miles per hour. Continuing on even after the morning on Tuesday. Relative humidity values with daily minimums of 5 to 15% with very poor overnight recoveries. So it's still going to remain really dry in the overnight when it usually typically gets more moist, but it's not this time, unfortunately. Now looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, this is January 24th to 28th. You can see below average temperatures remaining for much of the western United States as we continue to get that cooler air from the north. Nothing of really Arctic that screams at me yet. But we know we've had some pretty good snowstorms in February, and that's what I'm kind of holding out for because I'm kind of a snow lover, so I'm really looking for some snow, and I know a lot of you are as well. Here's the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook for the same time frame. Below average precipitation is being favored, but as you saw, or as I showed you earlier, there is some chances of precipitation during this time frame. This is going the end of the last week of January into the February 1st. Below average temperatures remain favored. Precipitation may be around normal. This is kind of iffy because it really depends on exactly how close those troughs get and how much moisture it brings from the ocean. If they go to the east, we're hardly going to get any moisture and just going to drop the temperatures a bit. So we'll continue to look at that as we go. And now here's the experimental 3 to 4 week outlook. This is for February 1st to the 14th, so the first 2 weeks of February. This is the Climate Prediction Center is expecting a more La Nina type weather pattern as we go into February with below average temperatures and above average precipitation favored. I really hope this pans out because we've gone weeks without much precipitation now, and the snowpack is starting to suffer a bit. So we really need the last half of winter to really win out and get us that snowpacked and potentially bring some nice fun snow to the lower elevations as well. There's going to be a lot of time to look at things. Models are switching back and forth, but the general pattern looks to favor this over drier, warmer weather. So I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope this pans out as we go into February. I'll have another video up in a few days, hopefully. So anyways, I hope everybody is having a great weekend so far. Take care. God bless. And I'll talk to everybody in the next video.